This topic today is on how do you see yourself? How do you perceive yourself? I'm sure you've had stories like, let's say you're standing in the kitchen with your husband or your wife, and she might say to you, "Why are you so selfish?" Or "Why are you so demanding?" Or "You're so arbitrary. Every time I say something, you want to say something opposite to me," right? Or "You're so stubborn. Why are you so stubborn?" And you look at them as if they're crazy. You don't see yourself as being stubborn or arbitrary or demanding or forceful. So I made a pact with my husband, because we work in the same company too, right? It's very useful. I'll say to him, if you see me being or exhibiting a behavior that is not a good one for our relationship or for our customers, let me know. But in the meantime, I had to do a lot of my own inner work, because he was seeing me one way and I was seeing myself another way. And it's so important for us to truly see ourselves, because the way we are seeing ourselves right now might not be the person we want to project. I think most of us want to be perceived as someone who has a lot of self-esteem, someone who is confident, someone who is brilliant, who's smart, who is creative, and influential. We always want to see ourselves as being influential and loyal. Yeah. Not some little mouse that sits in the corner, I think most of us. Although there are people who want to be that quiet little mouse in the corner. They just want to do their job and go home, collect their paycheck and go home. But the true leaders of the world are the ones who will take a look at themselves, truly look at themselves. And whatever they like about themselves, make it stronger. Whatever they don't like about themselves, if they're demanding, forceful, arbitrary, seen as a weak person, that they do something about it. What are your thoughts, folks? Marion, Raj?
I have a lot of thoughts, Betska, here listening to you. Because, like a number of examples come to my mind, and like the perceiving of yourself and how others perceive you, right? And from my perspective, there's again a very cultural component to that, because I've many times have been said, "Oh, you come across like so serious, you're so direct, you're so," like I have very high standards for myself, and I'm expecting that of others, whether that is my husband or my children. My expectations are fairly high, and they know where they are, but it does sometimes come across as very hard to please, very difficult to meet those expectations, right? And so I might say, well, those are great values. That's what I think. Right? I perceive myself, do I want to lower my expectations? Do I want to lower the bar and the standards of how we raise the children, the values that they exhibit, the expectations for me as a parent, for me as a professional, for me as a leader? Do I really want to bring that down to meet what maybe other people are expecting of themselves or perceiving? Not really. So I think my point is the perception of someone else and the perception of me may or may not be the same thing. But ultimately, I think we can agree that if you want to have a good relationship or a healthy work environment, you somehow need to bring them together. And that's where communication comes in, and really like that value set of respect and trust and working things out together. The other piece of it that comes to mind as I was hearing you speak are these limiting beliefs, right? Because there's so many people, and I think we've all had an experience one way or another where there are limiting beliefs that perhaps kind of creep in, where we feel like unworthy or not belonging or not good enough or not having done good enough. And all those things, they whether or not we're conscious of them, they're playing in the background in the operating system, and they change what we do, they change how we feel, and they change the results. And so there's this whole method of, you know, what we're thinking about, and that is based on oftentimes limiting beliefs, and then how we feel really dictates what we do, or oftentimes what we don't do, and then it shows, of course, in our results, and that circle keeps going. So the point to look at it is to really understand, why am I perceiving myself a certain way? What are these limiting beliefs that are driving that? Because tweaking that has an impact on every other area.
And, you know, I was just thinking, like, on the home front, right, where I've said to John, if there's something in me you don't like and it's causing some challenges, please let me know. And then on a personal or a corporate level, we can do the same thing, right? We can go up to our bosses and say to our boss, what are some of the things you really like about me? What characteristics do you really like about me? And what characteristics do you think I could improve upon? It takes guts to do that, doesn't it?
It does. And you might get two different answers. Somebody might say, and I've had clients who work with me because they said, oh, I know you're going to bring me back on the path. As soon as I'm going a little off the path, I know you're going to kick me in the butt and you're going to bring me back. And they appreciate that, right?
Yeah.
And others might say, oh, you know, she's a little intense for me. So I think, you know, again, it's like a perception can be very, very different. I personally didn't even realize, I mean, I did in some ways, that, you know, that was kind of the reputation, that it's like, oh, you know, you have any kind of challenge or you need somebody that needs to professionally troubleshoot, go to Marion, she'll get it done. She'll help you with that. I didn't realize I was perceived that way, but it could be very different depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah. Raj, what do you have to say on this topic?
I have also same thing like Marion. I have very high standard in my mindset set. So sometimes also I'm very disappointing with my people, friendship. That is my drawback. I always do so. Whatever I do in my life, like my personal thing or my office work, I always get a very high standard, high value way. So, but now these days, I suffer a lot because I'm not getting same thing in the friend side also and the official side also. So I think now my mindset is change and modify my mindset. Let them whatever they do, this is the good way to accept it, or because otherwise you will feel unhappy with and sometimes something I myself I realize, oh, this thing I will do myself because I can do justice in my way, because I cannot depend upon these people, because they, if I'm asking A, they will give me B or C. So better I will do myself. So rather than unhappy, so I happy myself.
You know, Raj and Betska, actually one last point here. I think that has really helped me is like that perfectionism sometimes that drives that high standard and that excellence and like no failure, no error kind of concept, especially like, you know, with people that maybe are more junior or, you know, have less experience in the corporate world. I think there's a difference between somebody really being sloppy and just not really, you know, paying too much attention, and those that maybe are not yet at that point and they need more mentorship. And it's really an opportunity to provide that guidance, provide that mentorship, and bring them, help them grow and develop them. And I think those are the people, hopefully within your environment, that you can pour yourself into and realize, yes, maybe they're not meeting the expectations yet, but there's a lot of potential. They have the right mindset, they have the right attitude. So why not pouring ourselves into them?
Yeah. So in summary, this topic today was, how do you see yourself? How do you perceive yourself? And in my experience as the guru coach, Everybody has blind spots. We cannot see ourselves. So it's a really good idea to do an inventory. There are all kinds of assessments out there. You can talk to your partners, you can talk to your children, you can talk to your colleagues at work. How do you perceive me, right? Like, do some homework and find out how other people perceive you, because it might be holding you back from what you want to achieve in life, but you cannot see it. Thanks for being here with us today, folks. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Can anybody out there hear me? Hear me?